Lads, lasses and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono CFC and this is a match preview for Chelsea versus Wrexham. This is the first episode of a new series on the channel where I'll be previewing every match of this season, laying out my expectations, lineups and more. Welcome to the lead-in. Our first game in pre-season sees Chelsea travelling to North Carolina to take on rising Welsh stars Wrexham at the Keenan Stadium for the Florida Cup. I'm going to be going through the lineups that I believe will play, including personnel, tactics and more. So, without further ado, let's look at our opponents for this match. Wrexham have been riding a hype train all the way into League 2 in recent times, with new owners Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney providing a massive boost to morale, as well as funding. They very famously won the Vanarama National League after heroics from ex-Watford goalkeeper the cycling GK Ben Foster against title rivals Notts County, and then winning it on the penultimate day on goal difference, with superstar striker Paul Mullen scoring a sublime brace against Boreham Wood. They broke a 15-year absence from the Football League and amassed an English League record of 111 points. They come into this game against us rightly as the underdogs, but will feel as if they can get a result against us in pre-season, as we are coming off the back of a horrific patch of form and are notorious for starting slow in pre-season. So how will they plan on trying to achieve that? Let's look at the team. Wrexham, managed by Phil Parkinson, like to play in a 3-5-2 formation, so that's the formation I'll be putting them into. Their team hasn't changed at all except for one new signing, so I think the starting 11 will most likely be just like they played last season. This is for a trophy, a pre-season one, but a trophy nonetheless, and Wrexham would love to lift it, so I believe they will start with a very strong starting 11. First up in goal is the previously mentioned Ben Foster. He's a Premier League quality goalkeeper playing for a League 2 side, and there's absolutely no doubt that he will start in my opinion. He's the safest hands in the team and has recently been tied down to a new contract, which should excite Wrexham fans. For the back three, it's slightly changed from what they would usually play, with new signing Will Boyle coming in from Huddersfield starting on the right of the three. The other two are fairly straightforward, vice-captain Ben Tozer in the centre, with Owen O'Connell on the left. Moving into the midfield five, starting on the right is the second youngest man in this team, Ryan Barnett. The three centre mids to his left are likely to be club captain Luke Young, Elliot Lee and Andy Cannon, with Jacob Mendy over on the opposite flank. The two up top will probably continue as the season ended, with Sam Dolby partnering the ever-dangerous top scorer of last season, Paul Mullen. Mullen is the most likely place a goal for the League 2 side will come from, and our defenders will need to be sharp in order to snuff him out. In terms of how Wrexham play, it's a bit of a mixed bag. They like to play possession-based football, but often opt for long balls from the centre-backs into the channels, either to Mullen, mostly down the left, or switching the ball to either wide midfielder. More often than not, this is to Ryan Barnett on the right-hand side. Either way, Wrexham really love using the wide areas and getting bodies into the box to receive crosses. Whether these crosses come from the touchline or the byline, their main objective seems to be to hit Mullen or others in the centre. Notably from what I've watched, Jacob Mendy on the left loves to arrive late at the back post, almost ending up in a centre forward position, similarly to how Marcos Alonso did for the Blues during his stint with the club. As with most lower league sides, Wrexham are also pretty good from set pieces, so that will be another element of their game we'll have to be wary of. Now from the Dragons to the Lions, let's talk about our boys in blue. But before we do, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to the channel. Still only 5% of the people watching this video are subscribed to the channel, so if you'd want to join that exclusive group, hit that subscribe button and join the masses. Starting with the formation, I believe Poch will start with a 4-3-3. It will become more apparent why I've chosen this system as we go through the team and its absentees more importantly, and could be a different system entirely, but for now this is what I believe suits the current crop of players. I will be putting us into two separate 11s, because a lot of the time in pre-season, teams opt to play one 11 in the first half and another entirely different one in the second. There is no limit to how many substitutes you can make in pre-season games, and I think with the size of the squad this will be something we opt to do, at least for the first game or two, to give everyone minutes and up their fitness levels. Because of this, I've had to distribute our experienced players with the youth players, so the teams are a mixture in order to have two balanced sides in that regard. As the pre-season games go on, I expect our team to have a more established core, and we'll see an 11 close to what we can expect in the actual season. But for now, it's all about gaining fitness and giving the youth a chance to play against our weaker opponents of the tour. These 11s can play either way around, so these aren't in any particular order. So, for the first 11, in goal is Kepa Arrizabalaga. I've stated my feelings on this multiple times in the past, so I'll keep this short and sweet and say Kepa starts, and that's pretty much it. For the back four, there will be major changes to this as there are multiple absences from our defence, the first being Reece James, which almost guarantees that the starting right back will be Malo Gusto for this game. I can't lie, I am incredibly excited to see how he gets on. He seems to have settled well in Cobham and I hope that he'll crack on and have a good game. For the centre-backs, it's going to be a younger pairing to start with the experienced Kepa behind them, so on the right is going to be Alfie Gilchrist and on the left it's Levi Colwill. Although Alfie has low first team experience and I prefer to play him with Thiago Silva, the other option would be forcing two left-footed centre-backs into one team and two right-footed centre-backs into the other. I personally am not a big fan of doing that, so this provides us some balance, and at least Alfie is surrounded by an experienced keeper behind him and Levi, who is much matured for a young centre-back. On the left is going to be Ben Chilwell, another experienced head in the back line and a player who loves to get forward. I think Ben will be great on the left hand side alongside Levi and will be the target of a lot of long passes. For the midfield three, these two sets of players pick themselves as we have only brought 6 midfielders into the squad. Amongst them, I should add, is Lewis Hall. I have been bombarded with people in my comments wrongly telling me that Lewis Hall is a left back and not a centre mid, despite me proving it multiple times, so if this, from the official Chelsea squad list, isn't proof enough for you guys, I don't know what is. This is interesting though, because Poch has picked this squad, which suggests that Poch sees Hall as a midfield option for this season and not a left back. We've also brought all 3 of our actual left backs, which further enforces this idea. Anyway, in the middle for this first 11, I'm putting in Enzo Fernandez, next to Lewis Hall and Cesare Casadei. I think this is best for a mixture of experience and youth, attacking and defensive mids for both midfield threes. Though I don't expect him to play here in the actual season, until we get Caicedo through the door, Enzo will unfortunately have to be playing as a 5 in this system, with Hall coming back to help out defensively as we know he can do. Casadei will be the midfielder with the more license to go forward, and it'll be good to see the young lad get some first team experience because he's got all the potential to stay here next season if he impresses. For the attacking 3, I'm going for the new Chelsea man Diego Moreira on the right, the experienced Raheem Sterling on the left, and up top will be our brand new striker Nico Jackson. Again, I think this is a good mixture of youth and experience in this front line, and will be good for Diego and Nico to get acclimated to playing for this team. Overall, I think this team is relatively balanced and will definitely be enough to get past Wrexham. Let's move on to the second of the 11s, and once again this will be a good mix of experience and youth. Starting in goal is going to be Gargos Slonina. There is an argument to be made for this to be Eddie Beach, who has also travelled with the squad and is highly rated by the club's owners, but as Slonina is higher in the pecking order in my opinion, I've decided to go with the American instead. For the back 4, we are once again forced into making some decisions because of absentees. As Malo Gusto is our only right back in the squad, I'll be putting in a player who you may have been shocked not to hear for the right centre back spot in the last 11, Trevor Chalobah. Trevo can play in pretty much any defensive position pretty comfortably, and I believe he is more than capable of being the rotation option in this squad. For the 2 centre backs, it will be the experienced head of Thiago Silva next to Bashir Humphreys. We need Silva's leadership with our young goalkeeper and centre-back in the squad, and I think these two complement each other pretty well. For the left-back, this is pretty obvious, it's going to be Ian Maatsen. Personally, I don't think that Cucurella is going to block Maatsen from getting his chance in this one, as the opposition aren't the greatest, and Poch needs to assess the new faces coming into the side. Cucurella will likely feature more heavily in the games after this, as Chilwell will need to be rested due to his injury issues in the past, so I expect to see more of him later on in the tour. For the 3 in midfield, again this is pretty obvious considering our limited options here. Andre Santos will play alongside the relatively experienced Conor Gallagher and fellow youngster Carney Chukwuemeka. Santos can play this defensive role perfectly, and I think it would be great practice for him if Poch wants to use him this season as one of the 2 in a pivot. Carney and Gallagher provide attacking threat, as well as energy to that midfield, and will likely run up and down all half. For the forwards, it will signal the return of a familiar winger pairing of Noni Madueke and Mykhailo Mudryk, with new star boy Christo Nkunku playing as the striker. It's been suggested that the ownership and Pochettino are perfectly happy to use Jackson and Brozier as the 2 strikers this season, with Nkunku occasionally doing these shifts there if absolutely necessary. This is one of those times, as Brozier has not travelled with the squad because he is still recovering from injury. I should also mention here that there is no place currently in these teams for new boy Angelo Gabriel. Despite him being with the squad, I think he will train with the team a little before making his unofficial debut. Again, I think this team is pretty balanced in terms of youth versus experience and will provide fitness and minutes to most of the major players for us this season. Regardless of which 11 is playing, I think the game plan will be pretty similar. I have touched on the specifics of Poch's 4-3-3 in the past in this video, which will be linked in the top right corner and in the description for those of you on mobile devices. But as a reminder, it's likely that we see a high-lined, high-energy and high-pressing Chelsea in this one. I think Poch will look to smother Wrexham with aggressive running and force them into making mistakes and giving the ball back to us. Once we are on the ball, I expect fast, snappy passages of play with a focus on getting the ball out to the fullbacks on either side, who will push up high and create overloads on the flanks. Though Poch reportedly hasn't worked much, if at all, on tactics at the moment, and has been working just on fitness, I do still believe that the manager will demand a lot from his players, and lay out that pressing style as a foundation to build off of. I think this is going to be an exciting game to watch, with so many new players in and around the team, and I'll be live tweeting my reactions to the game during each and every match over on Twitter, so if you don't follow me over there yet, make sure you do so you don't miss that. For a score prediction, I'm going to cautiously say 3-1 Chelsea, goals from Nkunku and Sterling, one of them with a brace I have a feeling, and Mullen on the opposite end of the scoreline. And for the question of the day, what do you think the score will be and who will score? Let me know in the comment section below. But that was just the first episode of The Lead-In. Thank you ever so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on these possible lineups in the comment section below, and if you'd be so kind, subscribe to the channel and leave the video a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to tap that notification bell so you never miss a video from me, or check out some of the other videos on the channel on screen right now. I've been Mono from Mono CFC, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on you Blues.